might interest some of us. Before I start talking about the experience I got from the Portsmouth meeting and from a website and books, I think that it's really, really important to know why we should get motivated and what is the point actually to get this motivation always keeping going on. Because for many of us it is quite soon over with the HND course, and we already think about the university, but I don't think that many of us know what they want to do in the future and what is the highest achievement in 5-10 years. I guess that it is money, but let's be realistic. I don't think that everybody will be the next Stefan Segmeister or Jesper Budel. So for me, the goal or the highest motivational goal is actually to, it sounds a bit silly, but to show somebody in my life that I'm above him. That's like a more personal thing, but this little personal thing actually can actually motivate you to come from a country like Poland here and learn one more language and come and do these, even start school from the beginning basically, because I'm not this young anymore. And it would be really nice to hear what you guys think about it, because this is a bit more a radical motivation for me, but I think that everybody has a different experience and nobody really wants to tell what is the real reason behind it to keep on going on and push to the limits basically, because this course is quite obvious, extreme. Many people quit. Why would you be here and trying to go to university? I mean, isn't it the main reason why we are getting always motivated? I mean, I know I'm reaching a bit higher now. I'm not speaking about coffee or for a walk outside to feel the breeze and oh yeah, I'm gonna make a logo, but
I think they're underpinning human kind of experiences. You're talking about distance you can go from where you started.
yeah, but isn't it always the one reason that keeps you on moving? Like 10 years, no, 15 years ago, I thought like, oh yeah, I want to make comic books, graphic novels. But there was always a realistic view on, yeah, but you know that it's like, I want to be a rock star. Let's be realistic and put it a bit to a side and think, what can I do now? And this can actually link to things that can actually be possible in the future. So one of the things was coming here. And it was a huge motivation booster. But it's really interesting to know what you guys think, because you are living here for some time and everybody is looking for university now. And I'm pretty sure that many of us have different ambitions. Nobody wants to say anything.
Well, I think your situation is obviously quite different from our one. When you obviously move to a completely different country as your motivation to do what you want to do. I don't know if anyone else has had that kind of, I mean, Igor.
Not me, I was born here.
Racist. I'm just teasing, Josh.
It's
I think in teacher speak we call it distance travelled.
okay.
And you have students that start and you've got their predicted grades and you're like, well, they've predicted a pass, but then they achieve a distinction. And you think, well, those students have worked harder than a student who was predicted a distinction and got a distinction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They have been more motivated to succeed.
Okay.
I don't think you have to be from a particular, I think it's a really, really interesting point, and I would, I don't want to say how much I agree with you, but, and like kind of push the conversation in a certain way, but certainly strongly. It doesn't matter where you come from, you always come from a position.
True.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what I would like to know.
When you're privileged and you inherit $1 million, and you think that where you are is not good enough, you will always be in that position, whatever you have. You know, we were not born in, you know, some sub-Saharan country in a war zone, you know, with Ebola rife or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it can always be worse or better. Does that make sense to people?
Yeah.
Like, do you not want to do better than your parents? I think that's what Bart is kind of saying, or do you not want to do better than what your parents suggested that you could achieve and the way that you think that they look at you? It's sort of a situation of perception. They might love you, but you might not think that.
I think that's, you know, for me personally, motivation, my motivation for even being on this course was I wanted to achieve more than what I have achieved.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I would have been stuck with office jobs basically, doing admin work if, you know, not for. But my motivation was I wanted to do something that was more interesting to me, you know, something that I would actually enjoy doing. So as a result of that, you know, I was motivated to come in. And
Is there a difference between short-term and long-term motivations?
I think so.
Or maybe they're called root and superficial motivations. Like I love shopping, right? And I'm buying stuff is awesome. But that satisfaction lasts very, very short amount of time.
Yeah. You need help. I'm joking.
Retail therapy, that's what it's called.
Exactly.
You have the same.
Yes.
Who doesn't like buying stuff? The ego is like, yeah, Josh, do you find it actually a stressful experience?
I found that if I'm hungry, I buy too much food.
That's the best thing said all morning. Where do you think that leaves this discussion, Bart?
I think it's more like a personal achievement of a goal.
Mm.
I can't really link it with. I think, as you mentioned, how you call it, like a long distance plan.
Distance
traveled.
Yeah, distance traveled. I think I should go back to Earth and give examples of people I talked to. And as we were in Portsmouth in the freelance meeting for, I don't know, Dribble freelance meeting, I don't know how it's called.
Portsmouth freelance meetup.
Okay, yeah. I've met a few people there from last year, but I've talked also to a few newer one I've never been in contact with. And I mentioned only two of them because I wasn't really enjoying this meeting for particular reasons. But talking to one of these persons was Shane Hudson, who is quite young for his quite young to be in this kind of community and business, 23 years old, and he already published even a book. And by talking to him and seeing how he actually talks to other people, I had the view of him being actually quite in and being very active, having clients and making money. What was the most interesting thing to ask him was basically his motivation, how he copes with it, how he starts doing his work and what keeps him going on. And the most interesting reply was that he is actually, before he starts his daily schedule, he goes outside for a walk on the beach, which was quite contradictory to most of the people we've been talking to, like Scott Burney, whose motivation is basically money. And it sounds quite harsh, but it was the money just to live from day to day. Where Shane Hudson had this kind of view that, yeah, you know, I'm young, I'm gonna make a book, maybe I'm gonna enjoy life, the moment as it is. And I think that's really interesting because we actually try to categorize things like work aside of normal life, where I think people like Shane Hudson are actually trying to convert it into something that is already one, like they live while they work and work is their life. And if, to be honest with you guys, if I would ask him about his hobby or what he's doing, I think he would be able to tell me that I'm enjoying what I'm doing and I'm doing money with it, with my hobby. one of these motivation things for him was basically enjoying life and doing what he's good at. Maybe that's why he was so young and is already in this kind of business.
I was actually reading up on like different types of motivation, and you have like intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So intrinsic is like if you love what you're doing, you're motivated out of.
If only you'd brought this up like in
Yeah.
the seminar, like after I've like
Yeah.
written you up.
So
But anyway, nice. Good.
That's if you're motivated by kind of the love of the actual work, whereas extrinsic is you're motivated by the money that you get from it, basically.
The consequences.
Yeah.
Can you call it extrinsic?
Extrinsic means exterior, outside. Intrinsic is interior.
Oh, makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Damn good point.
Yeah, so
A quick Google on motivation would have given you that point.
that's what I'm doing.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know how much time I have, but the last motivational point I would like.
Can we discuss that topic at all?
Yeah, we can, but yeah, sure.
Do you think that that's common between successful people?
Hard to say. I didn't talk to many of them.
No,
but I think it
in
might
your
be.
view of whoever you think is like extremely successful. I mean, does Jasper Goodall think what he does is work? Does he
Yes,
see it as
I
work?
think no, that's why he's in the university now, teaching people, because he put work as his lifestyle, and that's what he enjoys to do. Basically embracing illustration, right?
For me, on a very personal note, sitting here with you guys does not feel like work now. Like, I'm not sweating. Does that make sense? It's the paperwork and all the admin and everything else that feels like the work, but that's small in comparison to what I get.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you'd have very few teachers because the pay sucks.
yeah.
Does that make sense? So, in my experience, I would agree with that point. Do you think that that's common elsewhere and between successful people that you admire?
Well, the people I admire actually, they give an image that they actually live by what they are doing, and that's why they are so successful. But of course, it's all a plastic bubble. We can just see what the books are writing, or they show on YouTube or on the computer and on the internet. But this was from the whole beginning my belief. Like even when I was young, at 12 years old, Simon Weisley was doing some comics about alcoholics fighting with Superman. It seemed to me that he was quite enjoying it and doing it. And from his interviews later on, I found out that yeah, he literally didn't give a toast about school. He wanted to be a builder, but he still was doing comics. And on the end of the day, somebody noticed him, and he was making money with it. And he never stopped doing it. It was his lifestyle, and I'm not sure if he knew that he's gonna make big money with it, but I'm pretty sure that he wanted to do this his whole life, no matter what was gonna happen. It's like more like, it's not like a gambling or like a playing a poker game, because at the end of the day, if you don't make money, you can still put some good work on the Behance and make connections, like the Portsmouth meetup. And at some point you can get some money, but we are talking about big money, right? Like really getting out there and being noticed.
Can I chuck a little spanner into the works? And I'm not sure that I agree with it, but I'm just going to be devil's advocate anyway. You know what devil's advocate is?
I know.
Okay, cool. There is a lot of people that are highly successful and productive and unhappy.
Yeah. Look at me.
You know, I'm thinking Tony Scott,
Yeah.
for example. You know, I think we've previously discussed this motivation as kind of part and parcel of happiness, and if you're happy, then you're motivated. Well, does it mean the other way around? If you're motivated, you're happy? Well, the more motivated you become, the more ambitious you become, do you get unhappier? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I'm chucking it out there for you guys to.
I think this might be very deep. like Van Gogh.
Well, I like
looking.
We might as well talk deep, right? We're second year degree level.
Yeah.
What do you think, Equal?
Say the question again.
So, can you be really successful, really motivated, like highly productive? So, for example, you make a film every year, okay, like, but then also be, you know, very depressive or and unhappy.
Yeah.
Do motivation and happiness go together?
If you do something that you like doing, then yeah. But I think for my case, I wouldn't mind just doing it for money. Big money would motivate me, having things that maybe back in your hand I couldn't even dream of. Like to come over here and achieve something that people didn't think I would even do, and to actually have things that I plan to do, yeah. I don't care whether it's like
We've seen films like that where, you know, somebody leaves somewhere quite poor, comes back really successful, and then realise that they don't have it all. You know, it's quite a Disney kind of theme.
Yeah.
And then making friends with a mouse or something like that makes them happy by the end of it. I can't remember what the stories were. But do you remember? So I'm just wondering, when you got back to Ukraine with your, you know, BMW 7 Series, and you were driving around in like really nice Armani suits and whatever, how long would that satisfaction last?
a bit long.
But not forever.
I don't know.
It's a I feel it is even though it's been used in films, I believe it's a real concept that sure you follow what you love sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe for you. People have different opinions.
Okay.
We're gonna wrap it up there.
One more
Bart,
thing.
go on really quickly.
Yeah, I think one of the motivation for me and for many people I noticed, like Michael Ping I'm gonna work with, or even Strawhacker, is like getting inspiration from books. What I noticed lately when I was visiting Strawhacker Studios, he has one book on his table that I actually have, and I read it many times because it's a quick read. It's the title is Damn Good Advice by George Lewis, and it's not a book you have to read from A to Z. It's basically a book written by a very famous designer living in New York who made all those big advertisements for big labels, and he was quite radical, but he's also very there. It's like he's like Stefan Segmeister, but really in advertisement, in commercial advertisement. And those were the times where actually graphic design were trying to find links with art and try to be expanded in a very communicative with the audience level, but you know, ideas had to be quite clever, not just looking good. And anyway, he had this book on his table, and I thought, oh, I should bring it up because I remember reading this book and having it still with me here. And it gave me many ideas and inspiration when I was doing and approaching some project. I put here one of the fragments from the book down on the bottom of the page to give you guys a view how every page looks like. It's literally an image from one of his campaigns, advertisements, and next to it is like a metaphor that gives you an idea how you should work or how you should approach to be more successful, but also gives you a realistic view that you can actually go there and be the person you want to be. I think that in many cases some of the projects I've been doing so far were quite successful because I was reading this book and they gave me ideas. I think even for Dan, the thing with sleeping is cheating, there was a fragment actually explaining, well, that you sleep less, you have more time to work, and you can train it at some point, and it's true. This guy claims that over the past of many years he had to try to make his sleeping ritual a bit shorter, and thanks to it he was working longer hours, which enabled him to, well, earn more money. For some people is maybe important, but in a wider context it gave him the ability to be above the competition, right? Like, don't go home after 4 o'clock, stay afterwards and work till 12 a.m. I don't know. Things like this are very interesting to me, and I thought, thanks to Hacker having this book on his table, I thought it's quite important to mention. And Michael Ping also, when I was talking to him, I noticed on his table that he had also a few books. And I'm pretty sure that he can't just leave his office just to go for a walk in the forest, just to get motivation. So I think that books overall, no matter what the content, are a huge motivational booster. Yeah. If I would still have more time, I would tell more, but I think that it's over 10 minutes, so it would be really cool to know what you guys think. And if you have maybe some kind of books that put you or boost your morals, then let me know. Mein Kampf, maybe? No.
Boring, but
Have you read it? No. So I'll say it.
Yeah, just cap it up.
Yeah. There's one more thing I would like to add before we finish, because I don't think people want to add to it.
When you
Yeah.
mentioned the point about staying on at work and carrying on,
Yeah.
it's really interesting because I had a manager before who was probably the manager that I respected the most in my working career. And he would go around the office and check who's there at 4:30. And he would not give people who were still there, he would not give them a promotion.
Yeah.
Because he believed that people should be able to achieve what they need to achieve
Yeah.
in a certain time. Now, it's just a different way of thinking. I'm not saying I agree with him, but that's quite interesting.
Proportion, but what about the rise? If somebody
No.
was no.
It was just his philosophy, do you know what I mean? Whether a lot of people maybe didn't get promotions and things like that, you know, because as a consequence, I don't know. But what I can tell you was that while he was a manager, the department was certainly more motivated. I don't know if it's a consequence of, you know, of his kind of philosophy and attitude. And he would compliment people a lot. So going back to what you were saying, like he never said nasty things to your face, really. So when he did, it was like really powerful. So you know, you'd be like, oh my god, I've definitely done something wrong. Does that make sense? It's quite interesting. They kind of tie together what the kind of things
Yeah,
that you're
that-
saying.
that-
it's
it's
all
very
that's
contradictory.
that's sort of meant something I can not sort of respect that, but I understand that sort of philosophy.
Mhm.
It's something I could sort of
I think that
idealise.
I'm looking at it from our perspective when we stay a bit longer just to get our things done on the deadline. Well, I don't know what everybody wants to do, but we are looking for some kind of graphic design job. So we have a deadline and we stay a bit longer. And if we had the opportunity, I mean, with Ego, we even asked one day if we could stay at night just to get our work done through the next day. So I think that it is quite contradictory with what you mentioned, but I think it is right if you're gonna have a job in the office and there's like a specific amount of time where you have to do certain things, then yeah, I would literally say that this makes completely sense and this would be a motivational booster because you have still life outside of the work environment. But I think, I don't want to give examples of companies because I never work with them. But if I look at, you know, like this person, George Lewis, I don't think that he was just waiting till he can just take in his ticket for, like you see in the old movies, into the time machine just to get home and be back with his family. I think that nowadays to compete and be able to be a bit higher than most of the people, especially when thousands of students graduate every year from better universities and so on. It is quite hard to compete just by doing they're obvious. I think that for me, in my perspective, even from Poland, I came here and I still need to manage to be able to do a bit more to get a decent job in the future. And I can't just do, like we have lessons till 2:15, then I'll go home, eat my soup, and then come back at 5 p.m. and do my.
It's interesting how you mature, and it doesn't become just about do the task that you're set by the teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Get the best out of this course, definitely, and if you can add to it, go with it. What makes it's all about motivation still, because without motivation I wouldn't bother. And you remember the BTEC course, I mean, it wasn't always about motivation there. So yeah, definitely. And the last thing before I end, because I didn't write it on the paper here, but I just got it very quickly previously, because I always go back to depression and all those things, and none of these people in the freelance meeting seem to be depressed. They seem to be very social and open-minded. But a very sneaky, let's just say, easy way to cheat motivation is basically ask somebody from your relatives or people who know you very well to write you a letter. It's basically a small, it can be an email or a letter, it doesn't matter, but you need to have it always with you. And on the letter, you basically, the person, you ask her or him to write things that are very positive about yourself, but it has to highlight things that are putting you a bit higher than you really are at this point. I can give you examples of what I ask the person to write for me, but for example, if Oli wants to be working for, I don't know, at DreamWorks, for example, the person may write something like, give it a time of 5, 6, 7 years, and with your connections and so on, and you're gonna work there and you're gonna get this money. Or for Ego, if he's very materialistic, you can have this Bentley car very easily. You just know that it's gonna take 7 years of hard work and so on. And those things actually are huge moral boosters, because nobody has to see it. It does need to be true. But for somebody who lost hope and is very depressive in very bad moments, it's a huge, huge moral booster. And in many cases, since 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and then now, it helped me to actually overcome a few difficult situations.
Let's all go to the point of, like, saying, that's compliments. Like, not so much compliments. Actually.
Yeah, compliments, literally.
Yeah,
but
so,
made up, because you basically cannot criticize or, it is basically, like I've seen in American movies, people have like these audio tapes where they listen and they like, yeah, you're awesome, you just go on. Oh man, look in the mirror, you look, oh, amazing. And then you hear this really beautiful sound, or I don't know, I've seen it on movies, but I'm not sure if this really exists, but it's very psychological. And I cannot give you guys my examples of what I wanted to have on the letter, because I asked this person specifically to not what to write, because it will put me literally very easily down. But I give indications what helped me, what can help me actually. And this is like a cheat. I'm just saying it, that I'm pretty sure that nobody is doing it in the freelance meeting. But I'm sure that everybody will have a very difficult time in their life at some point. And this is like my daily coffee, literally.
It kind of ties into the whole praise. People love getting praise, I think that Oli was saying.
Yeah, but this is
So
very
it's kind
personal.
of like
it's a very personal way of praise.
Yeah, but it's not like a little world that your mama is gonna say to you, like before she's giving you lunch or something. This is very personal, and it needs to be black and white. You need to keep it somewhere. It's like
kind of like a almost.
hard to say actually.
Praise is a funny thing, isn't it? Because I've seen it do like a lot of damage at the same time.
Really.
Yeah, with groups of students that I've taken over who have been praised all year, given loads of really high grades, and then actually what skills they have, I'm like, they don't know what level they are. They think they're way above. Does that make sense? But I don't think what you're talking about is praise.
I don't
it's
think-
like a view of what you could be. Somebody's seeing your potential, and it's like a little reminder for you to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Because
I
when
guess-
you're down, you forget that.
Yeah, reminder sounds better.
I guess it's like a little kind of reminder.
Praising is like,
There's also a difference between appraisal and praise. Does that make sense? Do you know what the differences are?
I have.
So praise would be like, I really like your glasses, Bart, and also I think the handout's on really nice. Poo brown paper, but still nice paper. That's praise.
Yeah.
Appraisal is actually critiquing it, but you're not trying to put a negative on it.
Constructive.
It's about you understanding what you have achieved.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So,
makes sense.
I think it's an appraisal of what your potential could be. If somebody says you are going to be Superman and you don't achieve it, then I just don't see the point in that.
Yeah.
But if somebody's saying you could be this,
So it's more likely an appraisal rather than. Right. Yeah. All right. I'm done. I mean, you can guys add something.
cool. There's really small type on this bar.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
really
sorry.
dyslexic and I cannot read it. And I know you want to fit
I've
loads in.
I've done it.
But
No.
where is the columns? Where's the grid?
God damn it. Yeah, I know.
No, that was really interesting. Thank you. We're going to move on to Igor.
I don't know why.
Can you
I
check
only-
the camera,
I only-
please?
I only printed 4, so I'm only going to give one to Dan, one to me, and that'll be it.
Okay.
What the heck?
We can share now.
No, actually, I've got more, but I didn't print it for everyone, so I don't know why.
Yeah, we're still recording. Be going for 1 hour 20 minutes.
Right, so obviously speaking to people, we gave different opinions. What my thought on how to stay motivated is obviously, I think when you're really tired and stuff, for me, it would probably get some coffee, set some targets for the day, and try and achieve it. What actually people said was quite not really surprising, but it's kind of different. For some, it's kind of money, and I kind of agree with that. I don't know why would you be doing something that doesn't pay a lot. Like if you really like doing it and it doesn't pay a lot, like I don't see how that is kind of working. It's not really a job if you can't provide for your family, if you can't achieve things that people expect of you. So I kind of agree with the money. Like you've got to pay for you to be enough to go on holiday, to have nice cars, to go maybe traveling around the world to see different cultures and people. It's got to pay for your kids. Like I would want them to go to like the best school. I would want them at 17 to start driving. I would want them to be doing things that I maybe haven't done. So as much as you would want it to be enjoying it and not maybe like I'd say it doesn't pay a lot, I think it has to pay for all the things and your family and everything else that like it's got like although as much as you say it doesn't have, it's not about materialistic, it has to pay for like I think it's kind of being selfish saying maybe if you're just on your own and you enjoy doing it and you just enjoy living in 1-bedroom flat and that's enough for you, but maybe if you have family and stuff, it's not about what you like doing, it's about providing for the others as well. So I think it's got to pay for everyone, although as much as you're enjoying it or not. Interesting projects, that was one other thing that came up. So to keep the motivation, maybe this project like came up before, maybe it's not that good, but looking forward to something next, maybe it's a big project, maybe it's something that's been you've been looking forward to a lot, or maybe it's a big deal project that like again will get you noticed. Like say if you created something really big and it went onto the news or something like that, like you get the praise for it, you get like you become a famous designer rather than like working in your little company, or it's a lot of money, or like I said, you can maybe open up like, I don't know, bigger company, employ more people. So inspirational projects will keep your motivation going. And another thing, the network events when all the designers get together, speaking to people that are like everyday job, it becomes kind of boring and to get out, have a couple of drinks, speak to different people. And what they say is, speaking to different people, you make connections, and maybe on the next project, if you're not that good at design, like editing video, you meet someone at the network that is good, and maybe that project you could bring them on board, and then you have two people working together. You could share ideas. He could help you with things, and the more people you meet, the more inspiration you get, and then later on, everything can't be done by one person. Can't be good at everything, but when you meet all these people, everyone has a different asset, and they're good at different things. And for the future, it's always good to meet new people. And if you think of a project, they can come in, they can contribute, and then you make good friends. And that's kind of for how they keep motivated. For me, I think you kind of take what people say and kind of conclude and see like what you can take away from it. But for me, what Scott said was like getting like big paychecks and like maybe like moving on to bigger clients and stuff. That kind of motivates me. I kind of want to be at that level. I want to get there. I want to probably I'm not necessarily maybe my own company, but I want to be up there. I want to be making my name. I personally stay motivated. I come into college, I set myself a target, whatever it is. Like if it's like to write like 1,000 words essay, I'll come in, I'll get a coffee. If I can achieve 1,000 words essay, I'd say that's day not wasted. I've done something, I can show something that for tomorrow. So for me, it's kind of setting the mind target, and then if I achieve that, I know I've done something. It's not just day laying in bed. So if I come in and I set myself, this needs to be designed, that needs to be designed, and by 7 o'clock, if I get that done before home, I'm happy because I can come in tomorrow and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's good to be honest. Especially, it feels really good as well when you actually get stuff done.
Mm.
Like plan to have, something done like take it done, get it done, you don't have to worry about it again.
Yeah, and although the lessons finish at like 1, 2 or something like that, I know the college stays open till 7. If I stay here till 7 and I get this done, I could go home then. I'll be like, well, I stayed as long as I could. I've done as much as I could. Now I can come in, have some dinner, get changed and go to the gym, and then obviously see my girlfriend, and then kind of get rid of all this college work and then come in tomorrow and start again.
I think that's a really interesting point. My partner just said that to me recently, and she was like, Dan, you're a worrier. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, you can't have things on your mind. You've got to get it done and ship it off. Does that make sense? So I've got to get that thing done and send it to the client. And until that happens, I'm not happy.
Yeah, that's the same. But
So I can kind of
set a
really
target
sympathise. I
and-
don't know if anybody
Yeah,
else is
same.
like that. So why do you need deadlines that keep you like? That is the opposite of deadlines. Does that make sense? As soon as I get a job, I'm like, right, it's on my mind. So the exhibition, I got my work ready, weeks in advance of that, for example. Just because I couldn't leave it, I had to like get something made and worry. I couldn't worry that I'm not going to achieve it. So I'm worrying for the kind of wrong reasons, I guess, or different reasons than you guys. Does that make any sense to you guys?
So a healthy point of view actually gives you a huge advantage.
Would you consider?
I would, but not with my lifestyle. I think for him it's definitely very smart.
As soon as you get something, nail it.
yeah, and also just like work throughout the week, maybe 9 till 7 every day, which sounds quite long, boring days. But then on Friday when I'm done, I know I've achieved something during this week, and then I can enjoy my weekend and not necessarily to
I
do.
can see Igor on Twitter going, I work in weekends.
Yeah, like I said, I'm here like every day 9 till 7, and then I go in and come into like job that not necessarily like doing. But
Is that why this is done this morning?
Yeah, basically, I've been working all weekend, and then it's my mate's 21st, so. But like I said, I try to get things done on working days, and then I got my other job to do during the weekend, so it's another thing to worry about. And then I kind of take a break from all this, kind of gives me a little relax, take a weekend off, and then start again fresh on Monday. it's not necessarily the best thing because maybe you should do something on weekends, but I think if I did 7 days of this task and my other job and all the other things I have, I'll probably have a breakdown. So to have a couple of days off from everything, that's kind of keeps me, if I have Friday, Saturday off, and then I come in on Monday, I can start again. But I think if I did this 7 days, like staring at the screen, like literally thinking design, I'll just come in on Monday and I wouldn't want to do anything. I think taking a day or two off, that's how I keep going next week.
The last time I got a weekend off.
I don't have weekends off, I work.
I have Saturday off, I spend that with my children, and then I work Sunday. So it's not unusual. Like, and I'm like, well, I've been 35 for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So, but I'm still doing that.
That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't change. I wanted to check into that conversation, and I just think we've got a little bit more time to finish off. But I'm wondering how you guys, nobody really mentioned this, apart from Bart touched on it maybe about impressing his family. But for me, a central driver is like impressing other
Your mum.
people, anyone. My mum most of all, obviously, but I think anyone.
Nobody's gonna admit it, basically. It's a very personal thing, I think.
What? Like, I've just admitted it.
Yeah,
You-
that's why I would want money. I would like, not money, but like if you.
No,
become-
no, I don't want the money from, and for that to impress other people.
It's more about the
I want
respect.
my work.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
To
Like, say if you
impress
look
other people.
something that's what makes it big, like say like Josh making it to newspaper and stuff. Surely you got to be proud of that. Right?
I'm proud of you guys.
No,
as
but
kids.
what I'm saying, like that's what I'm saying. So like making it onto like other people to see, like, oh man, that's sick.
Like it's like I really want. There's this thing I'm doing on the site which is for my local council. It's to redesign their logo. If it gets chosen, it's going to be on everything that's printed for them until the next time they need it. That would be amazing. I'd be really proud because everyone will be able to see.
But there is a difference. I understand why you're motivated about that, but there's a difference between having something printed on everything and having something good printed on everything. So I think it's about. I think you just failed to say that bit, but it is also about producing good work.
Yeah. No, and it is a competition, so I'm up against others, and so if I know mine gets chosen, I know, compared to others,
Yeah,
mine
I
succeeds.
see what you're saying.
So I feel accomplished and
Accomplished. A desire to impress.
I definitely was happy. Like when my mum and dad actually found that picture of me in Tribes that sounds like a fox. I could feel it. They're quite proud.
That's an understatement of the year. It's quite a good feeling.
that's all right. I mean,
Right, if we're going to wrap up, can you sort the camera out?
Yep. All done, yeah?
Yes.